Welcome to the puppy top tutorial part 2. In this tutorial we will pick up stitches and make the ribbing along the edges. We will also make the sleeves. So let's dive right into it and get started. So now I worked my 60 rows. So I worked 60 rows from the underarm. And you should have a bit of fabric here now. So once you worked your 60 rows from the underarm, it's time to start making our bottom ribbing. Okay, so since we're starting this ribbing on a purl side row, we are going to want to start with a purl. So we're gonna work the same way as before. So we start with a purl and we end with a purl. So on a purl side row, we always start with a purl, and on a knit side row, we always start with a knit. So now we're just gonna work a purl knit, purl knit, purl knit until we reach the end. And once we reach the end, we turn our work and we start working a knit, a purl, a knit, a purl. So that's the way we're gonna work. Yes, since we have, and we start with a purl, we end with a purl on this row. Since we have an uneven number of stitches. Okay, so on a purl side row, we start with a purl and end with a purl. On a knit side row, we start with a knit and end with a knit. And we're gonna make 4 rows of this. So the same amount we made in the neckline, we're gonna make the same amount here. And then I'll meet you back up. Okay, so now I've finished the ribbing. So now it's time to yarn off. And we're finished with the body part. So once we yarned off, bound off, we are going to pick up stitches along this edge. Slanted opening. It's time to pick up stitches along the edges, so I'm gonna start at the bottom, and we wanna start picking up at the last yarn off, so like in between there, so we get an even and nice edge. And I'm gonna use a crochet hook. So when you pick up yarn, you want the yarn coming from bottom, right? You want to start picking it up from the bottom. And I'm just gonna make some space here. Going in through the last yarn off here, as you can see, is right there. So here's where we want to go through to pick it up, but the other way around then. So I'm just gonna go through here. I want to pick up 122 stitches, one for each row, and then plus the two yarn off edges. So in total, that's 122 stitches you want to pick up. So you just leave that there. And I actually do like this. I just pick up, and also, yeah. So we have this edge, right, and then we have here. So where I'm gonna want to pick up is I'll show you. So you have this right here, right? So the edge I'm picking up along is here. So I'm picking up along there. So it's up to you how you want to do, where you want to pick up, but I pick it up a bit further in. But the most important thing is you keep on picking up, like you pick up like throughout, so you don't fluctuate between different parts. You could also pick up and move inwards and outwards. So once I've picked up a few stitches onto the crochet hook, using the crochet hook, I'm going to be moving those stitches onto my knitting needle. You can do it any way, but I used to pick up a few. I keep on picking up stitches. Also, it's important to remember that we have our increases and decreases along these edges, which means that around every fourth you want to pick up further in, right? And the other one, like the other side, is going to be further out to keep the yarn coming like out of the right places. For the right hand side, I've made just a three row rib, and for this left side we want to make a 3-row rib, but we also want to put in some buttonholes. So I'm gonna meet you back up and show you. So I'm gonna start off picking up, and then I'm gonna start knitting the rib, and then I'm going to show you also how to make the buttonholes on this side, and we're going to make a 1-row buttonhole, but I'll meet you back up when it's time to do that. Okay, so now I've picked up stitches all along the edge. Okay, so now we're just going to start knitting. So we're working a rib. So on this side we want to start with purling. So this is the left hand side, and when you start picking up from the bottom, you will have to start with the purling. On the other side you will start with knitting. But then it's a purl, knit, purl, knit, purl, knit all the way across like we work a ribbing until the end. So it's nothing more than that. You work your way across twice. So you start with the purl, knit, purl, knit, purl, knit, and then you turn. Once you reach the end, and you work a knit, purl, knit, purl, knit, purl. You will keep on going until the end. So you keep on knitting until the end, and then you work 2 rows of ribbing now. And then I'll meet you back up for the buttonholes. So now I've made it to the second row. So now it's time to, I just wanted to show you what it should look like, or what it would look like. So you have this twisted, the diagonal opening, and then I've made 2 rows of the ribs. So now it's time to put in 1 row with the buttonholes, and then we just fasten off. So first up, knit up until where you want to place your first buttonhole, and for us there is going to be 3 stitches. Knit for 3. So now that we made our 3 stitches, so we want to start binding off. But before we do that, we are going to wrap the next stitch on the left hand side. So the next stitch on the hook. And to do that, we are going to move the yarn to the back, and then we slip the next stitch purlwise and move the yarn back to the front. And then we just turn our work. Now we want to cast off stitches, so we slip 1 onto our left hand side, and then we pass the next stitch on the left hand side, so the one before the one we passed, slipped over, we pass that over the slipped stitch, and then we keep on doing that 2 more times. We want 3 in total. So we slip 1 stitch from the right hand hook, and then we pass a stitch over, the closest stitch over that slipped stitch. And 1 last time. Just slip that stitch over like that. Then we turn our work. And now that you've worked your 3 stitches, now we want to cast on use the knitted cast on method. So 1 extra stitch on 4 stitches. So 1 extra stitch. So we just go through, stitch, close the stitch on our left hand hook, and then we pull 1 stitch up through that, and then twist it and put it back onto the hook. 1 more time, go through, pull it out, and then go in through the front of that. So we twist it and put it onto the hook. Now before you put the 4th stitch onto the hook, you want to move the yarn to the front, and then place the stitch on the hook, and then move the yarn to the back. Then turn your work so your wrong side is facing you again. And then what we're doing is we're going to slip 1 stitch from our left hand hook, and then slip that extra cast on stitch over that slip stitch, and then just keep on working according to pattern. So as you can see, you have this very small and sturdy buttonhole that doesn't stretch out, like doesn't leave any gaps. Okay, so I finished 1 sleeve, and I just want to show you how to pick up stitches and work the sleeve. So remember, we have these stitches we put on hold. So So what we'll do is you can either start picking up stitches immediately or put the stitches on hold back on the needle and then pick up the stitches. We're gonna have to just see where, like, identify the first stitch where we yarned off, and then we want to pick up the new yarn. So you can see here, this one we want to pick up here, right? We have these V's, and where we want to pick up is in between the V's, right? So we're gonna pick up through the V, I mean, not the U. Pick up that one. You can just leave it out there. And once we're knit, we're gonna work that. When we go around, we're going to work that back in. Just pick up the way you want to pick up too, of course. That's the first one. This is our second one through the V. Pick up stitches and then unload them. You can unload them like slowly onto the hooks, and you see when you go through the V,
the stitches we keep again, lining up to the ones below like this.
So just go through, and then we pick up stitches and then put the stitches that were put on
onto
hold
the
back
knitting
onto
needle.
Third number 3. Just keep on going, picking up stitches, and then along the way you just want to unload them. So as you have a few, you want to just take them off. And this one is going to be a little bit loose because of that. Just put them on your needle, and then you can just keep on going. You just go through the V's. Okay, once you've done that, you're going to want to put the stitch you put on hold back on the needle. So just take them off and put them back on the needle. Yeah, and just keep on working. Put all the stitches back on the needle, and I'll see you back. Now once I picked up all the stitches around, I picked up them all, you can see you get a little gap around here. Just the yarn from here to here. So when you get here, you want to put in a decrease. But for now, we're going to work around, and this side it looks better. So if you get a gap, you do that. But yeah, I'm going to just knit across. So I'm going to knit the first one, but we want to mark off the first, right? So I'm going to just grab a stitch marker. And then place it on the needle, and then I'm just gonna keep my stitches very tight here. If you get too much like a too big gap here, you could just decrease it well, like just keep in the end the whole, like you can have pretty much any size. Like if you decrease a couple of stitches here and there to make it more to make it close the gaps, it doesn't matter, but you want to end on an even stitch count because we are working a ribbing at the end, and we want to keep the stitch count even. So if you get 88 or you get 86 or 84 stitches, it doesn't matter. Decrease as much as you need to not get, because it's all out of size, so you decrease as much as you need to make sure you don't have any gaps around both sides of the raglan increases, because you don't want to expose your armpits. Yeah, so just keep on knitting, and I'll show you how I work the decrease on the side once I get there on this gaping hole. And now I've reached this big gaping hole, and this is where we attached our yarn into to pick up the stitches. Knit these two together, and I'm knitting them back loop. Make sure you tug on where you place the yarn. it tight, really tight. Now what I do, I pick up the stitch, this, you can tell, this part here, and put it up here, and then I knit. What I see is I follow this along, and then I can tell this one keeps it tighter, right? And then I follow it back and find it in the back. From there, I pick the stitch up and I put it on my hook. But if you want to really a lot tighter, you can put it on twisted, or you can just put it on normally. Make sure you keep your yarn tight. And then we want to knit. I knit these three together, keeping everything nice and tight in the back. You could also make sure you are picking this yarn tail up. You can just keep on knitting, and that's gonna keep that stitch a lot better.
So now you just keep on working 37 rows. I'm working 37 rows, but that's because I make a shorter, like an elbow length sleeve. You can make shorter or you can make longer, but the next few steps are just going to be knit until you're happy with the length of the sleeves, and then we want to add in ribbing. And whichever length you choose, you keep the stitch count, and then you make the same, like a type of ribbing is going to be the same. So I'll meet you back up once I've worked my number of rounds.
I'm back. I've worked my 37 rounds of the sleeve. So I've worked 37 rounds. And now I'm going into the 38th round. And this is where we want to start working our ribbing, but we want to decrease. So what we're going to do is we're going to start with knitting 2 together. So go through 2, knit twice, just knit those 2. And then we purl 2 together. See if I get through there. So we purl 2 together, and then we knit 2 together. And you could also go down like a needle size if you want a tight rib.
However, keep in mind that drops bell is a linen mixture, so it doesn't really hold ribbing. Like, since it's a mixture, it holds ribbing okay, but it's not gonna hold it as well as some other fibers.
So yeah, so just work this around, which should half your cut your stitch count in half, and then you work 3 more rounds of ribbing, so you have a total of 4 rounds of ribbing, and then you just yarn off, and then I'll meet you back up for sewing, like showing you use placement of the buttons and stuff like that.
Now once you finish the first round of the knit 2, purl 2 together ribbing, you just work regular ribbing and knit 1, purl 1 ribbing around for 2 more rounds. So a total of 3 rounds of ribbing for the sleeves.
So now finish both sleeves, and I've yarned off. You can see there's this little kitty. No. So yeah, as you can tell, there's this, like, since we decreased and we have all our stitches, we have this nice little tight thing going on around there, and the neckline, the puff stitches, everything. And this is what the back looks like. You have this slanted closure. I didn't put the buttons on yet, but you have the buttonholes. So we have the buttonholes going along our
buttonholes going along our, oh I'm sorry, buttonholes going along on the left hand side. We're going to need to sew our buttons onto the right hand side, just straight across from here. So you can just go a bit by feel. I haven't sewn mine on yet, but you want small buttons, like 1 centimeter or like half an inch at the most, because you want to be able to thread them through here, and we made the buttonholes quite small. So like sew them onto the ribbing somewhere so you get the closure you want. I'm thinking I'm gonna sew them on right around here. Oh, you're gonna want to sew them on right around like, so when you close them it reaches across the full rib. No, so you can wear reverse if you want to, because we didn't add a lot of short rows. You could actually wear it reverse as well. There's just a couple, like this is like, you can see where the short rows are, maybe an inch or so. So you could actually wear reverse as well, or just skip the short rows, and yeah, you can wear it whichever way. Since it's a wide leg fit, you can wear it whichever way, since it's still gonna be loose. Yeah, you can wear it whichever way you want. So this is the final look of the shirt, buttons and all. And this is actually also the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed it and that you found the tutorial helpful. And if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out to me. There will also be a written pattern available, which I will link below. So please, yeah, don't hesitate to reach out. Once again, thank you for watching, any questions, and please stay tuned for more videos. Now finished. Finished sewing on the buttons. So we have 5 buttons, and this is the final result. And then this is what it looks like from the front or the back, depending on how you choose to wear it. You have the pop stitches running along the front, and then if you put in the optional short rows, you will have a little bit of a race back, not a lot, but just a little. So it's still reversible, but for a better fit, like a better reversibility, you skip the short rows. And that's that. I'm gonna show you what it looks like on as well. And this is what it looks like when it's on. And that's all for this time. I hope you've enjoyed this tutorial of the poppy top, and also that you will enjoy making it. Now, if you have any questions regarding the pattern or any other thing, please don't hesitate to reach out to me, and I will do my best to help you. See you next time.